Hey there, welcome to Izzo's place. My voice is a little gone. I've been sick for a bit, so you might have saw the hot toddy video on Tuesday, and I have another one to edit. I'm going to go ahead and edit it and release it for today too. Tuesday was a traditional hot toddy, and the one today is a non-traditional hot toddy. It's a bourbon toddy. So you got those things to look forward to, and I also will edit together some bar pours that I did recently and get those out on the website. We'll do a nice little Thirsty Thursday. Make me feel like I accomplished something since I've been sick all week. But anyway, so if you saw the short that I released a while ago, today we're doing the 2XO tribute blend. So what is 2XO? So 2XO is basically 2 times oak. So this fella, Dixon Deadman, he takes barrels and he blends them till he gets into the taste he wants, or at least close to the taste he wants, and then he puts them in another barrel, actually. Let me go ahead and read it to you. That'll make a little more sense. I'll read you the bottle. 2XO, 2 times oak by Dixon Deadman. The Tribute Blend is the 3rd release in the ongoing small batch blend series from 2XO, 2 times oak. Each release is unique, created by blending select stocks of my finest barrels and crafting using my double aging or double barreling process. The Tribute Blend recognizes my family and mentors who have blazed a trail for me. Pay tribute to those who came before you. And that's actually just a nice message anyway. Paying tribute to those that made you what you are. So this is the 3rd release he's done. Now, so Dixon Deadman, to give you a little bit of history. So he was involved with some famous inn in Kentucky, I believe. I don't have the history on that. But where he comes into the whiskey story, as far as I know, is he restarted Kentucky Owl. And Kentucky Owls, I hear good things. I've actually only tried a couple of bar pours, and I enjoyed them quite a lot. One of these days, I'll have to get a bottle of Kentucky Owl. It's I'd have to look at reviews to find out which is a good bottle to jump into for Kentucky Owl, because it's a little on the pricey side. But we'll definitely have to get a Kentucky Owl and review it eventually on the channel here. But anyway, so he restarted Kentucky Owl with 2 other people, and they went off to do something Old Charter, I think. Could be wrong on that. But then after getting Kentucky Owls restarted, he sold it, and then he wanted to get back into the game, so he started doing this 2XO. So that's his story. So I've tried 2 of these. So this is the 3rd one. I've also tried the 2nd one, the Innkeeper's Blend it's called. So I don't know if these are annual releases or how often he releases these. I do know that this one came out in 2023. So about $100. It's 104 proof, so 52% up by alcohol. And so far, it's been a great bottle. I've really enjoyed it. And the Innkeeper's Blend also has been good. I think the first one was the Phoenix Blend. I may go ahead and try to see if I can find them all without paying a ton of money. This one, I think here in Florida, it seems like if you can find something, it's usually $10 to $15 over retail. That's not a terrible markup. In Ohio, if you can find it, it's at retail, as far as I know. But finding it, sometimes that's the fun part. I do know, and I'll have to try it soon for the channel. I know that they came out with I think it's going to be like a standard release, and it's only at $50. So that'll be something to look for and try eventually, maybe a budget pour version of this 2XO. So my notes from the short, I think the short was four months ago, maybe. I can't remember when I recorded it, but I just released it today. But I was getting dark fruit and oak on the nose, and then I talked a little bit about rye spice. It's not a rye; it's a straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey. But that's not to say that it might not have rye in the mash bill. There could absolutely be rye in the mash bill. So it's got a nice dark color, and a lot of times you see that with double oak stuff. They'll usually pick up a little extra color. The reason you would have a darker whiskey is either because it's really old, or because it's been finished a time or 2 after its initial aging. So this one's been finished extra, gives it a little slightly darker amber color. Okay, I agree with those dark fruits. I'm getting cherry. Yeah, and usually with a double oak product, you can smell the oak influence, the tannin. And I've got that here as well. A little bit of sweetness. And it is lending towards a caramel if you prefer. So deep cherries, caramel, oak, that's some pretty good notes. I don't see what it's, and hopefully, so through this, whatever head cold I have, I've never been congested here. I've always been able to breathe through my nose, but I'm like congested. My sinuses are up here all congested. I can't hear out of my left ear very well. So, which is fun when you can't hear out of your left ear and you have tinnitus. Boy, it's just real loud all night trying to sleep. All right, so let's see. So hopefully my palate's pretty close to normal. I'm what do you call it? I'm encouraged by the fact that I'm smelling what I'm smelling here, and it's kind of matching up with what I smelled on the neck board. Okay, that's a nice pour. Didn't get much of a hug, so it's going down real easy. This is my second pour of the day, so maybe my body's used to it. But at 104, normally I would get a hug. I didn't really get a hug this time. And it's possible because I was really focusing. So got a hint of the caramel coming over to the palate. It's not very strong though. It's not, you wouldn't call this like a caramel bomb that some people would describe certain bourbons as. So the caramel comes over just kind of like a hint. The oak is there. And so in my mind, there's a slight difference when I talk about something tasting oaky and something tasting like the tannins of the oak. So on the palate, it tastes like oak to me. And I mean, I don't eat oak. You know, who eats oak? I have oak at the shop. I should probably lick a board someday and see if it tastes like any. But it's just, I don't know, like oaky. It's just, there's an earthy would be another word for it. An earthy, a savory. Those kind of thoughts are what I'm saying when I'm saying oaky. When I talk about tannins, that in my mind is more of a chemical thing, and it doesn't taste like chemicals. But for me, I taste the tannins on the back end of the palate, and it really is tastes like it's drying out the back of my tongue, not in a bad way. And sometimes things can be too drying, but I get a lot of those tannins in the back of the palate as it's heading down the throat. And none of that is a bother to me. I like it. But just in case, like if the drying effect on a whiskey is something you don't like, then I just want you to be forewarned before you go buy yourself a barrel. But only a fool trusts his first taste. Let's go ahead and not be fools. Okay, so on this nosing, and there's no way for me to know what these blends are, and I could go on the internet and try to see what people are theorizing is in here. But I am getting just a hint of winter mint, which for me is usually signifying some sort of rye in there. So still oak, still caramel. Just a hint of winter mint now, though, and that's might have been the rye spice that I was talking about on the neck pour. Boy, that's lovely. And those deep fruits are in there, the cherries, deep dark cherries. And so for me, the cherry that I'm smelling here is like, it's closer to a black cherry. It's not like a Luxardo or a maraschino cherry. It's not something that's like processed in candy. For me, when I say deep cherries, it's like an actual black cherry, or it's like the filling of a cherry pie. So it could have that kind of sweetness, that kind of production, but it's not anything that came out of a jar when I talk about deep fruits like that. That's lovely. So that taste was very neat. It was very sweet as it entered my mouth. And you might have heard me kind of grunt. Ooh, there's the hug. There's the hug. I don't know where it was the first taste, but the hug's there. So as it came in my mouth, the cherries from the nose kind of exploded. So cherry sweet initially, and went away almost right away. It was like sweet and then gone. Then on the mid palate is the oak and the caramel, and then it all dries out in the back palate with the tannins. So a neat little experience here. Neat little experience. We'll do a third one in a moment. So let's see. I found this here in Florida. So I believe the retail on it's $99. I got it for $109, so 10 over retail, not terrible. And I thought, so on the sticker on the shelf, it said the Innkeeper's Blend. So, and I'd heard good things about that. And so I'm like, ooh, Innkeeper's Blend. And then I look at the bottle and it says the Tribute Blend. And I'm like, all right, so it's not the one that I thought I was getting. But the reviews on that Innkeeper's Blend were good enough. I figured I'd take the chance. So I'm glad I did. So I picked up the Tribute Blend from 2XO. And then the other one that I found, and that one's up north, but I found it in Texas, actually. I was there for the grand opening of the Fountain Leather Goods store that I helped do the cabinets for. And we were buying whiskey for the grand opening party, and I saw that Innkeeper's Blend on the shelf, and it was $109 there as well. So I don't know how Texas is regulated, but when I've found things in Texas, for the most part, they're $10 to $20 over retail. It's not like terribly well. And I'm not talking like fancy bottles, like allocated stuff. Sure, you're going to find that for all sorts of prices. I'm just saying, like stuff that you can find on the shelf is about 10 to 20 over retail. At least once you get to certain levels. Like, I mean, you can go there, and I'm sure you can buy Jim Beam and Maker's Mark for all the same prices we pay, across the country. That stuff's all relatively close. But yeah, so a bottle like this, slightly more sought after, but not allocated, that's going to run you 10 to 20 over retail, apparently, in at least Florida and Texas, based on my limited experience. So that's where I found those 2 bottles. So the bottle from Texas ended up back in my collection up north, and this one will stay down here. They may never meet. All right, let's do this. Let's do a third one. So on this third nosing, all the same notes, but I'll be honest, there's like a tiny bit of citrus in there now, just creeping around the edge. And when I say citrus, it's speaking to me like a lemon or an orange mixture. That's very interesting. Let me see if all the rest of the notes are still there. The cherry with the introduction note of the citrus note, the cherries has disappeared a little bit. So it's almost like the citrus has replaced the cherries. So the cherries is a lot more muted, and the citrus has taken over for some reason. Still got the caramel and the oak though. The wintergreen on this third nosing, the wintergreen is kind of gone. Maybe the wintergreen is converted into the citrus note for whatever reason. It's a little frustrating, but it's also neat when the notes change. So on the third one, as it entered the mouth, the cherry was brighter, almost like it had aspects of that citrus note that changed on the nose. So the cherry was brighter but still sweet. The middle has just always stayed oak and caramel. Boom, boom. This time, in addition to the drying sensation, I got a bit of a toasted note. So I was like kind of tasting the toasting of the barrel. Sometimes when I get the toasted note, I end up with a toasted marshmallow note. I did not get that this time. So just tasting like char. And that's on the back palate. How far I've come in these tasting notes. If you want to see something funny, go back to some of my first alcohol reviews where I was basically, yes, I like it, no, I don't. Yeah, so this 2XO, I personally think it's good. A good value for the $100. If you can find it for 100, 110, you might even go as high as 120 on one of these if you saw one of those. Yeah, and if it seems like your palate is similar to mine, where you're liking the same kind of things that I do, because that's a little bit of a wording I have to give, and I might need to make a new channel, like introduction. I'm here for the experience, so I have to be careful because even a bad whiskey can be a good experience if it's interesting. So I got to be careful. In this case, I think it's a very good whiskey. The experience is very pleasant. It's not unusual at all, but there's still enough idiosyncrasies in there to keep you smelling and tasting. This would be a good one for like a longer show or a short movie. You know, I mean, I could sit with 2 ounces of this for a 90-minute movie and probably not quite finish the pour before the movie's done. But that's just how I enjoy my whiskey. Yeah, so I would put my personal cap on this at 120. If you see it at 120, I don't think you're getting ripped off. There's no age statement on it though, and I know that's important to a lot of us bourbon people. There is no age statement on it, but Dixon Dedman seems to know what he's doing when he's blending bottles, so that's a nice thing to see. So that's all I got for you today. My voice lasted through it. I'm going to try to do a neck pour and then edit these all together. So I appreciate you watching. If you're drinking, no, let's start the right way. If you're working, please work safely. If you're drinking, drink responsibly. But do everything with a little bit of whimsy. You're going to have a good time. I'll catch you next time you're hanging out at Izzo's place. Take care.